Hello, this is Xavi, and this is an interview about women's football marketing from the blog xavibove.es, a blog board to grow your impact in women's football. Today, it's a big pleasure to welcome Marely Flores-Martinez, a sports events professional with over 10 years of international experience in project and event management, including Olympic Games, World Championships, FIFA World Cups, and top European competitions at UEFA. She has experience at the top level of events organization, both in women's and men's sports. Currently, she works as women's football tournaments manager at FIFA, a role she took 4 years ago. Marely is a multilingual executive who speaks up to 8 languages. It's also definitely worth mentioning her social commitment reflected on her participation as a mentor for young professionals in sports management for more than 10 years. Besides, she was also awarded Citizen of the Year in Mexico for her accomplishments and contributions to society. Marely, it's a privilege to have you here. Thank you very much.
Hello, Xavi. Thank you for the nice introduction.
So let's get started. First of all, Marely, could you briefly explain us how a major women's football tournament such as a FIFA Women's World Cup is organized?
Well, the first thing is that you need to have the candidates that want to organize a World Cup. Then when you have the procedure and they have decided that they want to continue with it, they are chosen, they do a presentation, and several points are taken into account. Operationally speaking, when they are appointed as a host, we conduct stadium inspections because they need to propose us in their paperwork which stadiums they want to use. So then we go in a site visit to understand better how the stadium works, what's the infrastructure, also the potential that the stadium has, because not all the stadiums in the world have all the requirements at a glance at first, in the first part of the procedure. So you need to work together with the LOCs to adjust the stadiums the best you can for the team. So you have all the rooms that you need, all the maybe temporary structures that you might have to plan. And then with that, you also start sharpening the budget. We also have to find training sites. So when the teams are not playing, we need to understand where these trainings are, where these sites need to be also close to the hotels. They need to have certain distance. They need to also have a potential good pitch, because this is the most important thing for the teams. You can have super nice dressing rooms, but if you don't have a good pitch, then it's really not good. So you need to find this combination between hotel, a good pitch, and then also to be this distance that can manage for the teams. Then after this, we also need to deal with different departments. We need to coordinate areas like marketing, TV, commercial, ticketing, hospitality, in order for have an event that is all a good experience for spectators and for the teams. So we have several meetings as well with security and safety, so they can tell us what can be done, which entrances are better for spectators, which entrances are better for players. So it's a full teamwork that depends on the scale of the tournament. You can have a big team doing it or a smaller team, but in essence, it's the same areas that need to be involved on this. And I have had the fortune to work in small tournaments, like relatively with one venue, like beach soccer, and the Women's World Cup that we used 9 stadiums with 36 training sites. So also the selection of training sites is very special, because I did a road trip in France, like maybe I visited 60, because we had the under 20 Women's World Cup the year before, and then we have the Women's World Cup on 2019. So I had to visit many fields, and also to speak to the owners, to speak to the groundsmen. And we also carry our pitch experts there, so they can tell us if it's going to be a good pitch and if it can be done for the tournament.
Definitely a work, Marely, that from the outside can look easy, but there is a huge work behind, years of work for a month of the tournament. So you've been now for years working at FIFA, Marely. Which are your key responsibilities and lessons learned at the organization?
Well, my main responsibilities have been the readiness of the stadiums. So it's mostly venue management, is also project management. You need to also be aware of the timelines, because the event has a start date, and that start date you cannot change it. You need to be ready. Whatever happens before, you need to deliver, and the first match needs to kick off on time. The main lessons that I've learned is that you need a lot of communication with your colleagues. You need a lot of coordination as well in the different areas, and always to talk to each other, because communication flows are very complex, because you have FIFA, you have the LOC, which is in the country where the tournament is happening, and you also have the federation, the host federation. So you need to be all coordinated in order to deliver a successful tournament. You also need to be aware that not every culture is the same. So if you go to France, you will speak, you will interact with people in a different way that if you go to, for example, Uruguay or Paraguay, or if you go to Japan or you go to Australia. So this is very important that you are aware that not all the cultures are the same, and you cannot use the same way of communication with the different countries, because if you manage to understand how they work and how they understand things, you will also have the possibility to communicate better and also to make things happen in the best way for everyone. So I think that this is the most important thing to do.
Fantastic. Given Marely your expertise and experience in the field of events and sports management, could you tell us the difference among women's and men's tournaments, because you have experience in both in many sports and both in men's and women's sports. So would you say there is any different, and could you tell us which one or which ones?
Well, we have different specifications. Of course, the scale of the Men's World Cup is very different to under 20 Women's World Cup. You have less stadiums, you have less training sites, you have less people involved. For example, in the Women's World Cups, we always are very picky, and we request a special room for the coaches. So in the men's tournaments, you can have mostly in the boys tournaments, you have in the same dressing room, you have the coaches and the players, because they are all men. So in women, we look for these different rooms, so the players can be comfortable and also the coaches can be comfortable in their own dressing room. But in general, the sport is the same, and this is just small details that we look at, so they can be customized to them. We also try to encourage women to be in the team delegation. So in our regulations, in the last under 22 tournaments under 20 and the last two World Cups under 17, we have an article that says that you must have one woman in the medical team and one woman in the coaching team. So this also gives the opportunity to the women to be involved since early stages of the development of the players and the teams, and also it gives the opportunity for them to be included in the list. So the national teams need to do their best to find the suitable person for that position. Obviously, you have teams where you go to Women's World Cup and all the staff is women. So it really depends on the mentality, depends on the culture of the country, depends on how advanced they are also with their coaching trainings. So it's really diverse, but it's very interesting to see that more and more the nations are bringing more women into the delegation as team officials and coaches.
That's very interesting because it shows how women's football can serve as a tool for society in order to advance towards inclusion and diversity. Um, would you say that the atmosphere or the fan experience is different in women's sports or women's football rather than in men's football?
Well, I have seen in women's tournaments is you see more families coming, and maybe it's the nature of it. You know, have the girlfriend or she's the girlfriend or she's the daughter or she's the cousin. So they really support them, and that's what I have seen the difference you have in general, because in every part of the world can be different. But at least for the World Cup, you see more families coming to the World Cup than maybe clubs in I don't know, maybe in Germany for men's football, you see really like groups of spectators that go as a group, and then they go and cheer for the team. They have their chants and everything. So I think this is a bit different now. Club football in women's is growing, so we will see how it evolves.
Last year, France 2019 was a huge success. It broke many records on and off the pitch. For the next FIFA Women's World Cup 2023 in Australia and New Zealand, what can we expect in terms of event operations?
Well, we have a very strong team in our organization. We delivered this amazing World Cup as a team, and now we all know better what to expect and what also works, what it needs to be improved. There's also new people coming in, so you have new ideas as well. So I think that it can only grow, I mean, and also the exposure that players are having now in social media is a bit more than before the World Cup in France. So I think it's a whole environment that will help to boost it and to be seen by more people.
It really looks like an exciting field to work on because as technology and also digital tools keep advancing, also the fan experience it goes together with the experience that fans live at the tournament. So um, this year, Marely COVID-19 has seriously affected sports events. How can it influence next tournaments, FIFA tournaments like the FIFA Women's World Cup under 17 and under 20 that have to happen next year, 2021?
Well, I think the whole world is affected. Also, the other sports like are not even yet on TV. So this is something that we cannot know because every day is a different story. Every day you have cases every day. In some countries it rises, in some countries it decreases. So you can only just live day by day and make plans to all the scenarios that can happen and be ready. I mean, there is not much else you can do. You just need to be ready for whatever happens at the time. So I cannot tell more because it's very uncertain times.
That's fair enough. Among subscribers, Marely, there are many people that would like to take part of these major sports events, such as Euros, World Cups. Do you have any recommendation or suggestion that you could share in order to help them to get involved or participate in these kind of tournaments?
Yeah, I think one of the specificities of sports industries that volunteering helps you a lot because if you make it the right way, if you focus on what you want to achieve with your volunteering, meeting people, talking to people, make people aware of your abilities, do your volunteering work as best as you can. I think it's a very good entrance point because whenever another opportunity comes or whenever another tournament comes, you already have the knowledge that is needed to perform. So maybe you will volunteer first, but then you will learn, you will contact people, they will see your work, and maybe eventually you will get to work in with a proper position. But if you are starting your career, I advise you to volunteer in these big events. Always target the international events because you have more exposure and it will give you more value if you want to compete internationally. And also if you have the opportunity to do some sport management course, I think now it's a good time as well. Now that we are mostly at home and there is a lot of online offers, or also if you want to come to Europe or you already live in Europe, there is also courses in Switzerland that you can join. So yeah, that would be my advice, and have fun. I mean, it's very, very nice to be part of something bigger than yourself.
Perfect. We take note on that. And I would like to ask Marely, are there any skills, specific skills that you see that are common in the teams that you work with during these big tournaments?
Well, I would recommend anyone that wants to work in international events to learn languages. I mean, English is essential, and then try other languages like French, or because you also get opportunities to work in certain events when you speak the local language, and that will give you a bit of an advantage besides other candidates. Mm, Also, the multicultural awareness. You need to, if you don't have the opportunity to travel at this time, maybe yeah, look for documents with intercultural communication, and you also need to understand that multicultural environment is also about a lot of respect, and everyone does their part, but they are together for several hours, several days, sometimes several months. So you need to know how to interact and be respectful. Um, yeah, I mean, if you already have some skills that are not in sports but are transferable, like event management or maybe marketing or maybe hospitality, you can also apply all that in the industry. So just think about what you like to do, what you want to learn, and then where you want to volunteer. So you will be able to build experience and also to meet the people that you need that maybe they help you in your career further on.
You mentioned language skills, Marely, and just to remember and to recall, you speak up to 8 languages. I was very impressed when I saw that. So, how many languages or which ones would you recommend people to learn in order to advance in this field of sports management and sports events?
Well, for me, the big three ones are English, Spanish, and French. But I mean, if you have an event in Italy, then maybe you will not get fluent, but just try to learn some Italian words, and then eventually you can also be there and you will improve it because you're in the environments. Maybe there are some events in Russia. I mean, you don't need to be fluent in Russian, but I think that your interest for the culture where the event will happen maybe also give you some more tools for you to perform better or to help better the team that you are assigned to. But yeah, I think the most important is that you learn the ones that you want and also have a look on which maybe for next year, which events are in the pipeline so you can also maybe target your efforts to certain country or to certain region or to certain language.
Great, Marely. Moving into a more personal side, are there any books that you would recommend because they have influenced your life somehow?
Well, for me, the one that helped me before I came to Switzerland to try to achieve my dream was The Alchemist. It's
Mm.
really on discovery, and it's not like well, for me it was very helpful, and it really gave me a lot of confidence and tools that I could develop while in Europe. And for me, it was important. I mean, it's the one that helped me as well. I have also one that is in Spanish, but it's called Coaching para el Éxito, so coaching for success. And this is not like a literature, but it's more like a novel or something, but it's more to help you when you have certain situations. So it has chapters in different things. So whenever I have an issue or something, I refer to this book and I find strategies, and it makes me think on how I need to approach the issues that I face. And another one is the Gifts of Imperfection. So this has helped me a lot as well to when I have a problem, when I want to start something. Sometimes you are afraid about things that might happen or things that you're not sure. So you just need to dare and do it. I mean, it's more profound than that, but more deep. But these three, I think, that have some influence in my current situation. And yeah, I mean, there's tons of books that people can read, and there's depending on your needs, depending on what you like. Maybe some people like novels, which is great. Maybe some people like more like self help books. Maybe some others look for more branding, personal branding stuff. So it's really the three that I have more present, and the three that have had more impact on me. But any book is good. It's a book. If the topic interests you and you think that this can teach you something and get you further, so go for it.
Reflecting on your career until getting into this position at FIFA, I can imagine that the path has not been easy, or at least it has had some obstacles. Is there any failure or apparent failure that you think that has especially set you up for later success?
Well, lots. I have failed many times. Well, the first one I would say big one. It was when I graduated from the masters. It was tough for me. I mean, I found my internship in London. After that, it was a bit tricky. So I couldn't find anything in Switzerland because I wanted to stay in Switzerland. But after some time of applications, just keeping the hope that I will find something, enduring the process because it was long. I got the job after 1 year and a half, but I knew what I wanted. So all the obstacles that came in, I could overcome them because of my dream. That at the beginning was not very realistic, I think, but if you really want it, and you will sort it out. And also because I had to do my CV like maybe 50 times, so I learned like 49 ways of how not to do it. And I also in that process I met a lot of people that helped me. I attended conferences, trying to do some relations. So I learned a lot in that process, and I also met lots of people that I'm still in contact with, and it's very nice because I can still talk to them. I can still ask them questions, and I think it was a failure, but it was a big learning, and it was very important that I didn't just give up because it was easy to give up, but I just continue, and I felt very inside myself that someday I would make it. So I didn't know when, but I just knew that I wanted it and that I would eventually get there.
We really can tell that resilience is one of your main strengths. Marely, do you have any special advice for young people, for any smart-driven student from university that wants to work in women's football?
Well, if you are really like it, everyone has their own path. So your career will not be the same as other person. You will have people who will inspire you, and maybe look also for those people. Now also with LinkedIn, it's super easy to get in touch with almost whoever. So if you find someone that inspires you, someone that you're interested to talk to, try to reach them on LinkedIn. Some will answer, some will not, which is normal, but try to look for these people. Also look at the different opportunities. That maybe your first job in sports will not be your ideal one, but if you focus on what you want, or you can also look at the skills that you need and you develop them, you can also transfer them to the next job or to the next phase of your life. And what is the most important is that you do what you're passionate about, because with this you can really make a difference, because you will be good at it because you like it. So try to find that is your passion. If you don't find it, don't worry. I mean, I found it a bit later after I graduated from university, but in order to find it, you also need to. Now there's a lot of webinars of many topics, so subscribe to them. Maybe you are attracted by a topic, maybe you don't like it at the end, so now you'll know what you don't like, because that's also important, that you know what you don't want, and then you can explore. I mean, if you're only out from university now, you're super young, so you have this opportunity to try here, try there, and then maybe it was not what you expected, maybe it's more than you expected, so you just explore. That's good. That would be the word.
So patience, passions, and persistence. I think it's a great way of ending up and wrapping up this interview. Marely, thank you again very much for your insights, for your ideas. I really believe that they will be very useful and also valuable for people watching this interview. So best of luck for this for the upcoming tournaments, and keep in touch. Thank you, Marely.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and all the best for everyone.